South Carolina State University will officially inaugurate the university's 13th president, Alexander Conyers, on September 30th. Before this role, he was the school's acting president and the vice president of strategic alliances and initiatives. During that period, he accomplished such things as inviting the President of the United States to be a guest speaker at graduation and clearing nearly $10 million in student debt. Colonel Conyers is an experienced leader with 28 years of service in the U.S. Army. He led complex organizations in areas of leadership, recruitment, retention, and human resources, which is also his mission for the university. The Manning, South Carolina native holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice right here at SC State. Now I'm your host, Devin Johnson, and I got a chance to ask SC State's president some questions regarding his mission for the school over lunch. Welcome to a special edition of Growing Palmetto. Welcome to another episode of Growing Palmetto. I'm your host, Devin Johnson, and today we're joined with South Carolina State University's president, Colonel Conyers. How you doing today?
Thank you, Devin. Thank you for having me on today. I certainly appreciate it.
Of course. So, it's Fried Chicken Wednesday.
Yes.
Like I told you when we opened the front that I've actually never been to a Fried Chicken Wednesday here on campus. So I'm excited to actually have lunch and talk to you about campus, your inauguration, and just the future of SC State.
Absolutely. So give me 1 minute, please.
The first thing I want to ask you is tell us a little bit about yourself that we don't already know.
A little bit about myself that most folks don't know is I love to have fun. I love people. I love hanging with my friends. I enjoy reading. And I consider myself an avid runner. I'm limping right now from a basketball game, but my claim to fame is that I completed a 50-mile ultra marathon. So
okay, so I did not know that about you. I knew about the Army. I knew you had family here. And can you tell us what SC State means to you during your second year of leadership? And I don't know about you, but I'm gonna go ahead and dig in.
No, SC State to me means so much. It has given me so many opportunities, and I've seen what it has done for countless other alums across this nation. So I'm committed to providing that same level of leadership to ensure that South Carolina State remains, working with the Board of Trustees, remains affordable and accessible for our students.
Talk about a lot of times about retention, recruitment, and sustaining students here on campus. Why is that so important to you? Like, why are those your three driving factors that you want to bring to this campus?
Well, the number one is obviously recruitment is huge. Every funding methodology for the university is basically based on funding. So I just don't want to get students here. Students come to South Carolina State because they want to graduate. So we owe everything to them for those who are willing to put in the work and those who have the aptitude to ensure that we do everything that we can to help those students matriculate and graduate from South Carolina State. Because for many of them, it will be life-changing, not just for them, but for their family.
It's been a life-changing experience since I've been here. I mean, I've seen so many students on the campus under your leadership. I mean, what do you think that you're doing right so far?
Well, I think listening to students, listening to parents, and trying to reduce barriers to success. And what I found over the last year or so is that many times there are barriers to success that doesn't require money, additional personnel to implement. It's just decision-making.
Decision-making, what do you mean by decision-making?
Decision-making could be anywhere from taking a look at best practices across other universities, whether in South Carolina or other places, and see what they're doing, and then implementing those same things. Something as simple as an academic forgiveness policy, something that this university does not have yet, or something as simple as the last date that a student can drop a class without a withdrawal failing, which affects the GPA, which then affects the financial aid status, which then affects whether a student comes back to the university or not. So just moving those dates doesn't require any additional funding, doesn't require any additional personnel. So really, a lot of it is just decision making and being willing to make a change from the way things have been done in the past.
We'll be right back.
The hemp project that we have at South Carolina State is a unique one where we're doing multi-location trial on multiple genetics, and we selected farmers in different regions of South Carolina, trying to look at how the varieties perform in different locations because the soil is different. This is a 4-year research. Well, 3 years is for the actual field trial, and we also have an indoor trial. And so after that, we'll go back and reassess all of the varieties that we tried in the different locations, which are the best performing varieties in terms of their growth style, their mortality, if they had diseases so we collect all this data, and also which one had the most CBD concentration. Because at the end of the day, that's what the farmer is looking for first of all, that CBD content.
So this year has been great, a total of 1,140 new students.
1,140 new students?
1,140 new students. That includes more than 900 freshmen, but that also includes readmits and transfer students. Mm-hmm. So total new students, 1,140. So we certainly hope to sustain that by providing good customer service, by ensuring that we provide wraparound services to our students, and more importantly, ensuring that our technology keeps up with what we're trying to do. And although housing has been a challenge this year, it's important to note that we had enough beds. It's just that our software system, our database system, isn't as updated as it should be. And like I tell the staff, prisons, hospital, hotels, they do this every day. So we've got to invest in the technology for a better software tracking mechanism to understand housing assignments. Because again, we've had enough housing to house every student who wanted housing on campus. Now, depending on some students and how late they made their intentions known, they may not have gotten the dorm of their choice.
What about, did you do something different? Are y'all doing something differently? Because, like I said, like you said, 1,140 new students. That's a lot of new students. So were you going to how different people, the different areas in South Carolina, shaking hands, recruiting, and events?
Into recruiting. And again, I consider myself the university's #1 recruiter. So when my recruitment team say, hey, we want you to go with us to Atlanta, to DC, to Savannah, wherever that might be, I'm there with them, with that recruiting team. So we put a lot of emphasis on marketing and recruiting. We look to increase our diversity through different states. This year, though, it's important to note that this year was the first year that we were able to bring in students from Georgia and North Carolina with a 3.0 GPA or higher at the in-state tuition rate. So that's a tremendous savings for those families. So we brought in close to, between Georgia and North Carolina, 100 students there. That's more than 100 students just from between those two states. Additionally, we also offer that same incentive to legacy students. That's to students who live in any state who had a parent or grandparent to graduate from South Carolina State. They too, with a GPA of 3.0 or higher, could come to school this year at the in-state tuition. So many times we heard from alums across the country, I would love for my son, my daughter, my grandchild to attend South Carolina State, but I live out of state and it would be out of state tuition. Yeah. So we got the Board of Trustees to approve that, and we've got 50 to 60 legacy students here this year.
That's huge. That's huge. I do like the fact that you guys made that a policy, so folks that from Georgia and North Carolina to come here. And I think that's a big recruiting tool that other HBCUs could follow behind.
Absolutely, and we will continue to look at this and adjust as necessary, and we'll, if need be, we'll put a cap at some point where we need to be with those students. But if we don't think we're at that cap with North Carolina and Georgia, then maybe we expand states. Maybe we look at Florida and Virginia. We just expand the East Coast.
We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Mark Nettles, an Extension Agent for Sustainable Agriculture and Natural Resources with South Carolina State University 1890 Research and Extension. We recognize that it can be challenging for our limited resource families in the Midlands to have access to healthy foods. The pandemic didn't make it any easier. That's why 1890 partnered with growing cob to create a community garden on South Carolina State University's campus. The goal is to empower families to take control of their health by improving access to fresh food and nutrition education. 1890 and Growing Cobb are excited to address many of the health issues impacting the Midlands and look forward to growing healthier communities with the SCSU campus garden.
I want to ask you one more thing about state, and then I want to get into you.
Okay, sure.
So, there's a sign right in front of the student campus that you guys are going to have, well, right by the student center. There's going to be there's going to be a new facility. What does that look like?
The current sign does not depict a new facility. It depicts a very, very modernized renovation. Okay. So it's about a $5 million renovation that will go into that with the facade and total gut inside of this current student center. And
so no demolish.
No demolishing this part. Okay. But we have another $20 million addition that will be added starting next year. We received funding this year from the state. This year received our highest funding ever from the state, over $50 million. And a part of that was $20 million so that we can improve our student center. Because the current student center opened in 1954. So that makes it over 60 years old.
And I guess if you do that, then you can offer the students more things, I guess, like maybe an extra computer lab, game room, more eating options. I mean, you name it.
Yeah, so hopefully within that new student center will also be a new dining facility. We certainly know that Washington dining facility, as great as it might be, as great as this food may be, good, yeah. However, it is outdated, and our students deserve something newer and modern.
In a few days, you'll be inaugurated as the 13th president of SC State University. During that time of your 2 years here and your leadership, and as you get ready to go into the celebration, have you reflected on it at any point? Like, as I say that now, like, what comes to your mind?
Well, certainly, I've reflected a bit, and sometimes I still have to pinch myself to believe that I'm here. You're talking a first-generation college student who did not enter college straight out of high school because no one told me that I could go to college. So instead, I enlisted in the Army at 18 years old. And it wasn't until I was in the Army that I realized there was a difference in being an enlisted private and being a second lieutenant. And that's when I learned about ROTC. And that's when I decided I'm going to get out of the Army. I'm going to South Carolina, enroll at South Carolina State University to become an officer, because many at that time, although I was an 18-year-old enlisted soldier, I recognized that many of the officers that I was interacting with, that I felt within myself, that I was just as bright as they were.
I know I want to wrap up the conversation because I know you like to do Walk Wednesdays, correct?
Walk Around Wednesdays.
Walk Around Wednesdays. Tell me about that.
Well, Walk Around Wednesdays, I've told my staff that on Wednesdays, as much as possible, I like to be on campus and I like to have my calendar cleared as much as possible, so that I can walk around, whether it's to interact with students, faculty, and staff, whether it's here in the cafeteria, whether it's down at SHM, or whether it's in the bookstore, whether it's the post office. Just get around different places on campus and talk to faculty, talk to students, and just talk to them, and that's when I find the best information.
And at talking to those folks, those staffs, these students around here, what have you heard from them, and what is your promise to the Bulldog community?
My promise is to the students, and that is I will fight hard every single day to improve their student experience, to remove barriers from them that will harm their success. And I'm here because I really, really want to help students. So that's my promise, is that every single day I will stand up, I will speak truth to power when it comes to fighting for these students. There's no fight that I won't back down from when it comes to these students. As
we wrap up the conversation, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you anything about 1890. So we work together, but what can you see with 1890 that you could, start helping us build to also help South Carolina State and our mission around the state?
When it comes to 1890, I think the name says everything. 1890 is South Carolina State's extension. So 1890 allows us the ability to extend our tentacles throughout the state, throughout the 46 counties. And under Dr. Whiteside's leadership, we're beginning to see that more and more with new facilities being opened throughout the state, with us being able to impact more families, whether it's in farming or whether it's in nutrition or whether it's in mental health. So 1890 through the South Carolina State Extension, says enough. And I look forward to having our outreach, our extension throughout the 46 counties in South Carolina.
And as we get closer to the day of your inauguration, what does that look like? Are you nervous? Are you excited? Like, do you know what you're going to say?
I don't know what I'm going to say yet, but I want the students to be involved. We want to have we're planning to have an inauguration concert for the students on Thursday night. Okay. I thought they would do a sneakers ball, but I've been told it's a Crocs ball where all the students will get dressed up and wear Crocs. So I guess I need to go out and buy some Crocs.
But that is everything that we wanted to talk about. Make sure you follow us on all our social media accounts as SC 1890, where we have all the previous episodes and the future episodes. And until next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.